In this lesson, we'll start from the exercise right away since VTP or VLAN Trunking Protocol is that simple. It exists so that you don't have to manually add VLANs to your switches, which is what we did in our previous exercise. We will cover two modes, server and client. On the server, you should add all VLANs that exist in a given network. You can also name those VLANs on the server. On the client, all you need to do is join that client into a domain. The domain and its password are defined on the server. And that's pretty much what you'll need for this course. Let's go to our example. It's stated here that our server should be S5, so let's go to S5. I'm going to go to command line interface, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the show VLAN brief command to see if there are any VLANs already on this switch. We can see that there are not, so we don't have any VLANs on this switch. If we look at S1, for example, and issue the same command, show VLAN brief, we will see only the VLANs that have access ports belonging to those VLANs. So VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. VLAN 30 is nowhere to be seen. Similarly, if we look at S6, for example, there's only VLAN 30. Let's start with VTP then. On S5, I'm going to go into the configuration mode and I'm going to say VTP mode server. Actually, every switch, when you boot them on, is already going to be in VTP mode server. So this command won't really change anything. VTP domain cyber with a capital C, and then VTP password for this domain is going to be cyber with a lowercase c. Now we are ready to add VLANs. So I'm going to say VLAN 10, name, I believe it's HR. Yes. And then VLAN 20, name finance. And then VLAN 30, name legal. Now if we look at do show VLAN brief, we will see all three VLANs and none of the interfaces belonging to those VLANs, which seems to be right since we actually don't have any computers attached to this switch. Let's go to switch 1. On switch 1, I'm going to get into the global configuration mode and say VTP mode client, join the domain, VTP domain cyber, and type in the password. And then I'm going to issue a command to see which VLANs do I have on this switch now. We used to have only 10 and 20. I'm going to say do show VLAN brief. And I can see that not only do I have all three VLANs, but also now they have names. They used to have these default names, but now they are HR, finance, and legal, just as we have configured them on S5. We'll continue doing the same thing on all the client switches. So VTP mode client, VTP domain cyber, VTP password cyber. Make sure to skip S5. A short disclaimer here. So we get this informational message saying domain name already set to cyber. As you could see, when we set the VTP mode server on S5, it said that that switch was already a server, which tells you that VTP is kind of already enabled in the background. So as soon as you switch the mode to client, that switch begins looking for a server. And if there is a server that has a specific domain configured on it, that client will try to join that domain. All that is missing at that point is a password. So once we set a password, we are all good. So let us check what's happening on S6. Do show VLAN brief. We have all 3 VLANs, so it means everything is working properly. The goal of this exercise was for all the switches to learn all the VLANs, which we have achieved, but let's test the communication. And that's going to be the last thing we're going to do here. A to D, successful. C to K, successful. B to G, successful. That would be it for this exercise. See you in the next one.